Just as the 8 a.m. bell rang, I didn't scurry in after the other kids, their backpacks bouncing up and down in the crowded halls. Instead, I boarded a bus waiting just under the flagpole, and together with a handful of other students, almost all of whom were white, headed to a portable classroom trailer at the back of the nearby middle school. There we entered another world. No ringing bells telling us to move to another class. No sitting at desks lined up in rows. No stuffing ourselves with information to be regurgitated on tests. We cut school. Or so I thought. I spent what I considered Freedom Fridays in the Pelican program for students who, I would only later learn, were labeled gifted and talented. At the time, it seemed to me that adults had decided I could have fun once a week. Or perhaps they just wanted us out of their hair. This was, after all, 5th grade. I was the troublesome kid who got up in the middle of class to shush students making noise in the hallway, to the chagrin of the actual teacher. The coolest part of cutting school was that my best friends, Kima and Mary, were in the Pelican program too. We were the only black students selected from our majority white school, where black children made up about 30%. Everything else from those days is a blur. All I remember was the three of us, floating together in a bubble of black girl magic before it was a hashtag. We danced and sang and created poems and plays. Freedom Fridays were full of expressiveness, friendship, and play. The scholar Imani Perry gives voice to what such mental freedom has meant for us. Imagination has always been our gift. That is what makes formulations like "black people are naturally good at dancing" so offensive. Years of discipline that turn into improvisation, a mastery of grammar, and an idea that turns into a movement that hadn't been precisely like that before. That is imagination, not instinct. Pelican was a weekly retreat from the usual strictures of schooling. Worksheets, homework, and tests were replaced by music, movement, and make-believe. But who decided we could steal away? And from what were we escaping? Visiting its website, I learned that there are 3 pathways into the Pelican program: aptitude, achievement, and performance. The state of South Carolina and the district declares by evaluation and eligibility standards that the gifted child has academic needs that must be met in a differentiated environment. This begs the question: who thrives in an undifferentiated environment? The mission of gifted education is to maximize the potential of gifted and talented students by providing programs and services that match the unique characteristics and needs of those students. So then, is the mission of standard education to minimize or hold at bay the potential of most students? Yes, I think that is precisely what it does, especially if we consider the eugenicist roots of testing and ranking. In the 1920s, the College Board commissioned psychologist and eugenicist Carl C. Brigham to develop the Scholastic Aptitude Test, SAT. Brigham, a Princeton alumnus who had recently authored A Study of American Intelligence, 1923, hailed the superiority of the Nordic race group and warned that with the promiscuous intermingling of new immigrants, the education system was declining at an accelerating rate as the racial mixture becomes more and more extensive. Standardized testing has always been predicated on a racist, classist, sexist, and ableist standard. A world that relies on social inequality to keep its machinery running can only afford for a handful of people to imagine themselves gifted. Gifted equals destined leaders and bosses, visionaries and innovators who have the time and resources to design the future, while the masses are trained to sit still, raise their hands, and take instruction. Doesn't the unbearable hubris and entitlement of many of society's leaders, whether in industry or politics or even do-gooding professions, stem from us being told all our lives that we are special? Or more precisely, of us being made special and treated by the law and culture as the chosen ones? Meanwhile, the majority of normals, to borrow a term from the sci-fi film Gattaca, are expected to take orders, complete tasks, stand in line, clock in and out, punctually, obediently, subserviently.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.